Okay, now talking about this big announcement from CMHC a couple of days ago, for especially for the first-time home buyers, can you give us a little bit more in-depth insights to that?
Okay, yes. So really good announcement. I think we're hitting an election fairly soon.
Yeah.
With all the announcement. Originally, what the government did was they increased the amortization from 25 to 30 years for new home builds. Okay, starting August of this year, they were able to do that for new home builds less than 20% down. So what does that mean? It means that your mortgage payment is less. Okay, when you go from 25 to 30 years, your mortgage payment is about 9% less, which means that you qualify for a bigger mortgage amount if you want. Okay. So you can look at it either way. I'm either paying less money or I can get a bigger house. Either way, you can look at it either way. So that's the key part of it, right? Now, beginning December 15th, they've expanded this to all homes, not just newly built homes, okay? And they've also increased the amount from $1 million, which is the maximum for uninsured, to $1.5 million. They're taking into account the geographic area, Toronto and Vancouver, Victoria, where the home prices are much higher than $1 million. I was a little surprised at the 1.5 nationally across Canada because obviously, 1.5 million in Halifax, quite a big house, whereas 1.5 in Ontario and Toronto is really, an average house. I mean, it's not bad, but it's still not, probably a monster home out in Halifax.
For sure.
So that's one part. The second part is that, the amortization for all these will be a 30-year amortization, as I said before. It'll be 9% lower with regards to any payment. So you can qualify a little bit more. Now, the down payment, they have not finalized yet in terms of the minimum down payment. So if I use today's criteria, okay, where the first 500,000, you have to put 5%. Anything above that, you have to put 10%. So if you go up to 1.5 million, you would put in $125,000 down payment. That would be your minimum. Okay. Now this is going to be finalized. It's going to be around that, maybe 125, 150, whatever it is. But think of it this way. Today, if you're buying a house for $1.5 million, you need 20% down. You need $300,000.
Yes.
That's a big difference on that, right? So there's a big amount that's very different with regards to now. This is only available the first time. If you're an investor, the answer is no. If you bought a house before, the answer is no. That's the way it works.
Now, if the applicants are split, in other words, if one of the applicants, husband, wife, had already purchased before, they are not truly, both have to be first-time home buyers?
Man, that's a good question, Roshan. I mean, we're still working with the final details right now.
I see.
But in a general rule, right? Generally, what they do is if one person is a first-time home buyer, basically they qualify.
Got it.
Okay. However, there's got to be some logic behind some of this thing. Something's got to make sense. Generally, they're going to look at the primary applicant, the one that's making more money. Are they the one the first time home buyer, right? So if that's the case, this policy will apply. You can't have someone where they're looking at a $1.5 million. This is their third home that they're buying, and they're adding their son to it who's making no money, but he's a first-time home buyer. You're going to say, no, this program, in the spirit of this program, you don't qualify. There's going to be some logic. We're not saying black and white. When you bring in the scenario to us, we will review with the lenders, and there may be a couple of lenders that will say no, but there may be a couple other lenders who will say yes, this is okay. We can accept this risk. We understand what it is, right? But it can't be someone making $10,000, another person making $150,000. It's very hard for me to rationalize and provide that to our lender.
Makes sense.
The whole idea initially when they were focusing on new build was to see if they can stimulate the construction industry too, right? They want to stimulate the construction because it's slowed down a lot.
Yeah.
So they're trying to stimulate that, but now they've expanded to everything. So whether it's a new build or whether it's whatever, I mean, you can put much less down payment. That's very positive news. And I think in the new construction, you may need less down payment going forward, right? Deposits going forward, right? Because the down payment is lower, right? Too.
Yeah.
So
I guess once things irons out and how much that down payment threshold is, which is 5% plus 10% for in between gap, whatever is today. If they hold that true, then if somebody were to really buy a $1.5 million home, that CMHC insurance is going to be heavy though.
yeah.
Because how much is it today? Like
on the top end, it's about 4%.
I
So
see.
on $1 million is going to be $40,000, right?
Yeah.
But you have to think about it the following. It sounds like a lot of money, but you amortize this payment over 30 years.
Okay, so you're putting back into the mortgage and re-amortizing that.
Yeah. That's what it is. Yeah. Yeah. So sometimes the mortgage comes out to almost about the same thing, the down payment, right? So on a 5% down right now, if you put a 5% down, you probably find that, if you put $25,000, your insurance is $20,000.
Yeah.
So it's that's how it is. So
Yeah.
it adds back. You got to remember the following, right? Now you need less down payment, eh?
Yes, yes, yes.
You need less down payment. So that helps a lot. Okay. I would say that on the insurance premium, don't get too fussed on it. If you have the money, go ahead, pay for it. Don't get it for the sake of
Yeah.
getting the insurance, right? But if you don't have the money, this is the time for you to get into the market and get approved, right? So that's all. It's all positive.
Yeah, and get a better house too,
Yeah.
and be able to, instead of being short-sighted and saying, okay, I'm going to be here for 5 years, you could actually secure a better property that you can be there for a longer time.
Sure.